going to click this, and we got a plane, right? The instant I do this, and this is going to be very important, I'm going to turn on garage shading with lines, and I get to see my lines. I get to see my segments, my polygons. I get to see them. So now I'm going to change this from 10 here with segments to 1, right? And if you are doing what Ahmad was doing was adding a figure to get real world scale, this plane is roughly about the size of this guy. So I just squeezed it in. You don't have to match my numbers, but if you want to, I'll just make it simple, 3. I made it super simple, number 3. So I'm going to press C on our plane. So I had plane selected and it was yellow. I press C. So is everybody okay so far? You guys followed along. All I did was just make this active. I didn't do anything except for kill off the segments, make them 1, and press C. Okay, I'm not hearing anything.
Trying to pull up your shared screen.
Do you see it? Hello?
I
Give
see
me
it.
1 second. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'll take it that nobody has any
Yeah.
questions. So what I'm gonna do is use our nifty little control key. And if anybody's using Apple, Mac, I believe it's Command or Option for Mac. I'm going to hold control till I get these 2 icons right here on my mouse. You see, I got 2 squares on my mouse. I let go, those squares disappear. I got there's 2 squares on here. I haven't clicked yet. And when I click, now I'm going to click and drag up 1 square. Drag up another. And now, once we hit here, this is where it gets interesting. You can select these 2 sides. And oh, okay. You can select these 2 sides, go to scale, and hold control. So you see I got these 2 little icons up. I'm going to pop it with the X axis all the way to the side. Okay. And the reason why you can do it like this is because you don't have to follow this. I'm just showing you. If you want to get different designs instead of a T shape to get a basic hallway out of the way with. No. I'm gonna rotate it on its normals. Actually, gotta use the points. Bert, you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So the reason why we like this way is because if I scale this out is what I meant. I can scale this out on the normal. Squeeze it in. And if I want a change of directions, like you want your hallway to be, I guess, tighter on this side, you can squeeze it in and get a tighter spot. Now, I'm just wanted to show you guys that. Now, once you got this, I'm going to actually make an exit. All right. So once you got this, a T-shape, a regular T-shaped hallway.
Someone was asking as far as how do you get that extra shape on the end? How do you pull it out? Aren't you using
Yeah,
control?
you're still using control. Like we said before, we're using control here with the 2 icons of 2 squares over our mouse as we hold control. Again, the shortcut key for that is control or option on the map. So now that we got this, what we're going to do is just double click on the edges. So you see, I'm still in edge mode, not in point. I'm not in face. I'm not an object. I'm in edge mode. You select these. So we can either do double select or you can use UL, which is tools that we have been using in the class. So we can use UL and still get the same kind of selection. You see there, got that selection with one click. I'm going to do the same, and just in case, I'll reiterate with the regular mouse. I'm going to deselect so that you guys can see is deselected. I'm going to double click. Press UL so that I can get this piece here. I think my Cinema 4D is acting a bit funny because it's lagging. So now you see I selected all the edges except for the sides. Now, we cannot tell you where the entrance needs to go. You are the artist. You are pretty much the designer of this environment. You have to be able to tell us where your door is going to go, where your hallway is going to go, like what kind of hallway it is, how far is the hallway, how deep it is. So for me, I only want this to be the entryway. So what I'm going to do is go to our regular selection tool, select this. Whoops, did not mean to select these lines. Going to select those two lines here, 1 and 2, and now 3. And all we're going to do is rise. I have the enable axis mode on. Do not have this on. If it's on, just press L. You see I press L and it toggles off. Now that I got this actually enabled turned off, I can hold control and click on the arrow to just pull this up. Now you can get how high your hallway is going to be. I would recommend just keeping it about double the size of your mesh if you're using a character reference, or just keep it as tall as you think a wall should be. Now that we got that, all I'm going to do is press KL. Now, does everybody follow along so far? You guys, if anybody was starting their hallway today, you at least have your environment. You already got, your walls and
Does everyone know what KL meet does?
What does that do? Sorry.
That is
That's,
K is for knife
yeah.
and
Knife
L
loop?
is for loop cut.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say that before I went into the knife cut tool. Is everybody caught up though? Is everybody at least understand, or at least at this phase, if you just start?
I understand.
Okay. So what we're gonna do here is go press KL one more time, K, and again, I'm not touching my mouse. I just tap the button K, and now I'm gonna type L, and we should get our loop selection. I mean, a loop cut tool. I'm going to hold Shift on my keyboard, Shift. Going to hold that, and the reason why is because we get these little dots that it snaps, literally like a 1/4 of the mesh, a half of a mesh, a third of a mesh to the whole mesh. It will literally divide your mesh up into little points, even though that there's no cuts. So it's kind of predicting where you're gonna cut based on wherever your mouse cursor is. That's the
Holding
white.
down the shift key on
Yeah.
KL.
Yeah. Holding down the shift key as I'm doing this. And the reason for that is because I want our line to be in the middle. Going to click that. And now you see is 100%, 50%. It's 50% within the mesh. That's what's going on here. It's 50% in the mesh, and it's letting me know. Now, if I press this plus icon, would you look at that? We got 2 subdivisions going on. What happens if I do 3, 4? This is up to you how you would want to split your mesh up. I'm going to do 4. And if
Someone was asking how you got to that point again with that
so
plus.
what I did was hold shift, I pressed KL. So K and then L. Went over to what I think what the middle is for the mesh. And then I click and hold shift to make sure I'm in the middle of the mesh. I click once. And now we got one line. We got one edge cutting through our whole entire mesh, one loop. Now I haven't clicked on anything else yet, because if you click on something else, it may disable the object. All I did was click here, so I'll reiterate this one more time in case nobody was able to see it. I'm gonna press K and then L. And then click this right here in the middle, holding shift. And make sure that it says 50%. If it says any other number, you gotta undo and redo that click. Because it's very important that we get that middle click. So hopefully you guys understand that. Is anybody lost? Anybody want me to re-demonstrate the knife, the loop cut tool again?
If you notice when you press K, it'll give you a lot of different options. He's choosing one of those three options, the loop cut.
Mm-hmm. And now if you press this little plus icon while your loop cut tool is still activated, you can make multiple cuts that still split by percentage of your mesh. So it's a more unified way of modeling, so you don't have to worry about the technical stuff. So now it becomes even better because you get to use it interactively. So these guys see that, you see that line going up and down. And the reason for me doing 4 cuts is because, have you ever looked at a wall and you saw that you have a border on the bottom, and then the bottom of the border is a bit beveled? We're going to create our own little border and our little window on top of that. So we got to have it split in the middle of empty space of polygons, like a row of polygons, in case you guys want to do like, I don't know, caution tape or what you call it, like decorative designs on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is zoom in just a little bit so that I can find my bearing. And I'm not being perfect, I'm going to predict where I would want it to be, because this is 3D, everything is interchangeable. So now I'm just pulling it up, and hopefully you guys see where I'm going with this.
Creating a spot for the windows.
Yep. Now you're wondering why I got this space here. Why is our nubs when it was very critical for us to start at 50? It was just so all of the segments that we create, so all 4 of them are in equal space, and it's less of a hassle to pretty much move them. We just click and slide. Now imagine how much easier that is if you are doing, your windows. So I'm just gonna pull this a little lower to the bottom because this is my own aesthetic. Now I'm going to press UL, and this is where you can start to create your windows. If I press UL, so again, that's the loop selection, U, and then L, I'm going to click this here, right? And some of you guys don't know this, but if you go here to inset, you could check off preserve groups. And you know what that does? Say we have preserve groups on. You see how everything shrinks? Now, it's up to you if you want big windows. However, if you want each polygon to have its own window, turn off preserve groups. Would you look at that? We got separate windows fitting every single shape that we got here. And then all we would have to do is either use your extrude tool and make sure your preserved groups are turned off. And there you go. You got your window. You can start beveling it out. And again, this is CG. We only seeing this side from the camera. We don't see the rest of it. So you don't have to worry about your outside objects. If it's not in the camera, it's not being rendered. We don't see it. So this is where life gets so much more easier besides the windows. This is the nifty trick that I wanted to show you guys. If we press UL and I select the bottom of this mesh, so the bottom of our plane, the original line that we started with, not the cut lines that we did on the vertical walls, the only line that we did right here for the T, for the base of the shape for the environment. I'm going to click that. I'm going to go to mesh. And then I'm going to go to edge to spline. Now that I did that, nothing appears to happen, right? I'm going to click the plus icon right here, right underneath our object. I'm going to rename this floor so we know. And probably wall too now. But now we got this spline. And I'm isolating it so you guys can see. This is a spline that was made from our 3D object. You can do this for every single object. Even if it's a humanoid model, you can make a spline and do a sweep over it. So what we're going to do here, however, is shrink this one down just a tad bit so it shows a little bit through our mesh. So I'll do this again, Control Z, shrink in the gray just a little bit with the scale tool. So when I say in the gray, it's the grid. So I'm over here. I'm not on this. I'm not on the knobs, on the gray. And I'm shrinking it down till it touches the wall. Now you guys can use the cloner. So let's say you pop the cloner in here. Nothing's in here. So I'm going to show you with the basic cube first. So I'm going to make the 0.2. 0.2, make it super thin since my room is not that big. I'm gonna fillet it and pull that back and pull the subdiv down. And just so you guys know I'm not fibbing, I'm going to do the design interactively. So I'm going to drag this cube that I did not press C on. All I did was throw a bend tool on it. This is my asset for right now. I have no columns or anything like that. But this method will work for you. So if we click here on cloner, go to object. Whoa, our clones disappeared. It's because the cloner is looking for an object to latch onto. And would you go figure? We got a spline. Does it work on splines? Yes, it does. So now, this is where it gets interesting. If you notice, our object right now, if I was to turn off the cloner, you see how my axis is right here in the middle? I don't want that. When you're using cloners, you want to make sure that your axis is at the bottom. So I'm going to have to press C and then press L. Pull this down to the base. Now that I have, I'm going to press L again. And this is for your model. Just make sure if it's a model that's going to be on the ground, its axis should be on the ground. I'm going to drag it back into my cloner, drag my bend back in there. And now would you look at that? It's right on top of my vertices. Now, is this a quicker way to set up your scene? Now we can add how many points. And if you want to get very precise, let's say if I add 20, you see how quick we got that? Now we don't have an even number, at least I don't think so, right? No, we actually kind of do,
Someone's asking exactly how did you make it go to the vertices?
Oh, it did that automatically. I haven't changed the distribution. That's what I was about to do. But I'll reiterate this again. So what I did and I'll go back to grid, and I actually do this from step. So what I did in the first step was select this edge. I press UL. And I went over to select this edge. After I select that edge, I went to mesh, edge to spline. And once I click that, there will be a spline underneath my object that I was trying to pretty much pull that spline out of. Now that I have that spline, I'm going to go here to cloner, right? And change my mode to object. And then I'm going to drag and drop my cube into the cloner. Nothing's gonna happen until we click on our cloner again and pull our spline into that cloner. Now it's distributing by just the count rate. So if we say 20, that's how it increases. However, if we isolate this area here, we isolate, and you guys don't have to isolate your spline. I'm isolating it just to show you, but we have vertices on these. These should look familiar because just like the squares. So you guys see how we got points? Now we want just a column on each point. That would be great. But what if I was to say you could control this by just controlling the vertices? All we have to do is go here to cloner. You see how you got distribution step, distributions? You got many from here. You got step. So step will go stepping across the whole entire spline at an even rate. I mean, at an even spacing. Or you can increase the step here. So that can show you, I do 5, 5 meters apart, 1 meter apart, 0.5 meters apart, or 2 meters apart. You can make a range of these, and this is by step. Now, if you want it by vertices, you see now how it snaps just to our vertices. I'll go switch over to even, and then switch back over to vertices. And if I was to pull this out and hide, you see how it's on, and hide this. You see how it's on each vertices? Now, before I do this, I want to make sure, is everybody caught up? Is this interesting? Is this useful? Is this
This is great.
make
Very
your life
good.
a little easier, or does this seem too complicated and you want me to reiterate it?
No, this is very useful, making life very easy. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
no problem. It's just utilizing all your tools and trying to compound it to pretty much, if you want to make out Mount Everest, all you would need to do is just go in 3D, make a mountain, and then you guys know how to texture, so you just texture it. The same thing rules apply with modeling. If you know, you want to reuse a piece, you can, and there's many clever ways of doing it. Now I'm going to go to our spline tool. I'm gonna go into vertices. I'm going to, going to select one vertice and then press Control A, and I'm gonna hide the cloner so you guys see that I got the vertices selected. And if you're having trouble selecting anything, go to rectangle selection. And I'll deselect it for now so you guys can see rectangle selection, and I get to select the whole piece. What I want to do now is 2 ways of doing this. One, you can either go here and go to subdivision. So if you're more technical and like to play with numbers, I know I'm not too much. You can go here and subdivide your spline by the amount of points. So I don't have to do the math because Cinema 4D did the math for me. So if I go here to, what do you call it? What do you call this? Points. Keep thinking Maya versus But anytime I'm saying vertices, all I'm talking about is points. But the points here is 14. So what would be the subdivision of 2 for 14? If anybody,
2 for 14,
yes,
7.
7.
the subdivision,
7.
the subdivision of, if I was to subdivide this line that has 14 points 2 times, so not doubling it.
Yeah, 30, 28. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, about 42. I mean 42, 32, sorry, 32.
This is why we're art majors.
So now you see how it's split. Oh, 27, 28. 27? Really? 14? Well, okay. I thought it would be doubled. But now you see we got different points here. Now if I just turn back on our cloner, you see we got more points, more sticks coming up. And I'll do this again so that you guys can see in real time. Subdivide, we got 2. Oh wow, it auto update and I didn't have to do anything because it reread that those are subdivided now. However, now if you want a curve and want to be unique with it, this is probably the last tip for this one, and then I'll reiterate it just so you guys can see how you can make walls, I mean wires and stuff. So if I select these 4 points here, which I gotta turn off the cloner. If I select these points here and you want a curved hallway, this is the second way of adding some type of subdivision, is if you go here to add, select whatever points you need to select, and then go to chamfer and you click that. And I think my stuff is good. I'm going to click and drag and you get to see in real time. Look at that. It takes a lot of dragging. It takes a lot of dragging. I'm not gonna lie, because it takes a lot of dragging. But now you got your own custom hallway. And because you guys did a modular approach, you can do an interactive hallway. And I'm going to actually mesh, add, subdiv. Oof. Hold on, subdiv. Am I subdividing the right thing? Yes, I am. I'm just gonna subdivide it by 3, which is gonna give me a lot of topology. And this is just for me, I'm just trying to make a somewhat of a pleasing hallway for you guys. So now that we got this, our floor is such a beneficial thing because we can do so many adjustments from this one mesh. So we just pretty much placed our objects and it works for the vents. So if you want another spline for the vents, I'm going to click and drag this. Whoop, wrong thing, click and drag, scale that inwards. Pull this up. Make a quick little vent. That's fine.
Like I can spline the vents to a path.
Yeah. And we're gonna do the same thing. So I just made my little, whatever kind of vent this is gonna be, probably 0.2. And all I'm gonna do is do exactly what we did before. I'm gonna create a cloner, so which I already did, made a cloner, go back to mode and change this to object. Now everything disappears. I'm going to plot our, oh, why did it switch? I'm going to click on cloner again. I'm going to plop our spline right in there. and put our extrude inside our cloner. And now you see I got my vents displaced everywhere. However, if we go here to vertices, it lines up. I probably got to stretch this spline out. So again, I'm stretching. And when you want to say your object is like misplaced like this because you're spline, every single movement is controlled by your spline. So if I want it to be longer, you can either stretch it out uniformly, or we can be awesome 3D artists and go right here and use our 4-up view and select all of those middle points, lift them up. And the benefit of using 4 views is because you're looking at one view while making multiple changes to every other view. And you can still view and see what's going on. So you see this small niche, I wouldn't have seen that through this top view. I'm using my perspective view to pretty much get the final touches. Okay, so let's say those are vents. Now let's get the floor. So I'm gonna use the same rules apply, which is UL, or not. Actually, I'm gonna use the brush. And all I really want to select is the floor itself, just the floor faces. And the same way splines work is the same way faces work. You can extrude those faces. So what I'm going to do is right click after I made my selection, and I'll leave this up for a second so you guys can see. And I'm going to, I think it's split. Yes. So I'm going to split my mesh. So all I did was select the floor tiles that I want to use, and I'm going to split my mesh. So I'll give you guys a second. Is anybody lost? Did anybody feel lost at this phase? Anything?
No,
All right. I'll give you guys a second. Split, and it should pop up another object inside your outliner, and you should see it. So I just split it, and this is for wall 1. So I'm gonna name it ceiling. No, roof. Yeah, that seems a bit better. Roof. I'm gonna choose roof, and I'm going to pull this up. Now you don't have to close your hallway. You don't need a roof, but if you want wires or to place your pipes, the same rule apply. I'm gonna go to mesh, add, subdivide. And this time I want to subdivide to 4. Now that I subdivided to 4, you guys can already guess where I'm going with this. I'm going to select this line, and I guess it's uneven, but that could work. This line. I selected my lines, and I'm gonna go here to edge to spline. Now, would you look at that? We got our roof spline, but what if we want to make wires, right? I'm gonna pull this out. I'm gonna go to loft, and I'm gonna go to circle. And pull this up here so you guys can see. So for the sweep tool, it's located right here. And we gotta use another NURB object, which is our spline here, in order to have it wrap around our line, our roof line that we're gonna use for wire. So you can.
wait, can you explain that again?
So for the sweep, we need 2 objects, 2 null object, not NURB objects. One can be either a custom spline, which is one we just did, we pull from that mesh.
Right,
Or it can be a default spline, which is a circle or a square that is located over here.
right,
The reason why we're using a circle is because we're using a circle to pretty much get the shape of the tube of our
Yeah.
wire, and then we're using the circle as it's going through, as it's being as it's interacting with the spline, with the straight line spline from our roof. As it's interacting, it's building geometry on that procedurally. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, it
And it will
does.
make, huh?
It does make sense. I just gotta see it.
Mm-hmm. It will make so much more sense. And I'll do this up in the sky so you guys can see. Up in the sky. There you go. All right. So we got this circle, and literally this is what's gonna happen. So over those lines, as we as we drag our roof spline, it's going to generate polygons along that line in a circle formation. And what's beneficial for us is all our splines are in the group, so we don't have to do it separately because they are one spline, they are one. So I'm going to control click my circle and my roof spline. And sometimes you have to play with this order, but it is an order to it. I'm just gonna click and drag into my sweep. And actually I got the order right. So whatever you want to drag on top, whatever you want to be the shape, or at least the silhouette, should be on top. Whatever you're pretty much tracing over should be at the bottom. And I'll show you with the cube, the reason why. Let's just shrink this so it's squarish, circle-ish. I'm gonna take this circle out. I'm gonna pick the square. Now you see how it's not a circle, it's a square?
Yeah. Oh, that's
Square what?
crazy.
Yeah,
Now, could you edit, like, say if you edit one of those faces, would it edit on all the polygons?
it will edit on whatever spline, because again, the spline is the controller.
So it'll edit on only one spline or all the splines?
Oh, I'm about to show you, I'm about to show you. So the benefit for this is if I go here and I wish to turn off my sweep, right?
Right.
Go to roof, and I click on points. You probably know where I'm going with this. I click on points. You know what's great about this? We have wires. Wires hang. So we need to make it hang. So I'm going to, and just so you guys see this interactively, and I'll do it without sweep on. But if I click on sweep, and on that point, you see that point, those polygons slowly going down. Now, if I was to press UI, whoops. Or actually show you right here. And this line, if I was to select these lines and pull them down, you see how it's affecting the mesh.
Yeah.
So now if you want a smoother move, what you can do is make your selection do only one point. And I'm gonna actually do this so you guys can see, but pick only one point on your spline, only one point, and press move tool. Press the move tool so that you can get this area active where it says move axis soft selection. We're gonna use soft selection. And for soft selection, I should be able to raise the amount that I'm pulling. What's going on? Why can't, it's because of the surface?
What we did is that we also used the belt selector and used dynamics to have that happen.
The belt selector.
Yeah. So you can actually have it
That one.
hang with gravity, but I don't want to disrupt you from what you're doing.
Oh, yeah, I haven't used that one yet. But we can go through it. Just wanted to show them the rest of this. Um, so if we click here and mesh. Where you at? Spline. There we go. It's these. Okay. So what you can do, and I'll test this really quick, is if we press UL, UI, pull this down, soft tangent. So what you guys can do for this is you see I have these selected, the same thing selected. I'm gonna pull this down. Now those edges are hard, which is gonna show right here, right? If, however, I press UI and go up just one where these are at, where those two anchor points are at, and do soft tangent, equalize or equalize in direction, you can start forming your wires to either go inside a custom shape. And you see how it got like a little bit of a natural droop to it. If I can click on these points, and you see we got those wires. Now the same, like you guys can do this. Have your wires. And then,
Wait, how'd you add the soft tangent?
oh, right here in mesh, and I'll reiterate it really quick. So after I pulled down my mesh and I got it to a range I like,
Yeah.
I can go to mesh, I mean, not mesh, spline. And tangents, soft tangents. And also,
Okay.
just so you guys know, if you see this little icon, the Braille stuff on top, you can tear off. If you're using this tool set frequently, you can tear that off by just going up here onto the top, right here, and just click it.
So you said after you have your mesh, you go to spline and then you go to tangent and then soft tangent.
Yes, but it's very important you get these ending meshes because this was my original selection,
Yeah.
right? If I get these two selections here and just do soft tangent, that will soften out the tangent.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Cause I wanted to use this for like you know, on some sci-fis they have like those pipes that are like really close together on the walls and they kind of like spin sometimes. Or they do like a little swirl and they're like right next to each other. That would be cool.
Okay, that'll
I
be
feel,
epic.
feel like definitely do that with this.
And I'm gonna show you guys another small little effective way of doing this is if we I'm trying to select the same amount of lines. But if I points, if I select these points, pull this down, I'm gonna pull this down probably a bit lower to exaggerate this. You see spline, I'm going to go spline smooth. And trying to make sure I go right underneath our spline right here. Look at that.
Nice. Nice.
And this will unfortunately affect all of your lines. But if you want it to be isolated, you can just make your brush size smaller by tapping the bracket keys on your keyboard, like in Photoshop. So you see now I can just sketch across, and this is more like sculpting to me. But there
It's
we
like
go. Got
this
some
looks like
wires. And if I pull this down, I think I like this wire, this one here, better than the other one. So all I'm gonna do now is pretty much just pull this sweep back down into place. I have a really huge wire in there. I know this looks like a junky mess because everything is not up to scale. But hopefully this made your lives a little easier, that all I did was use pretty much one spline. I used it 2 times from my base. I just created the floor and the space that's gonna house my assets. Then I made my assets, which you guys did. You already made your assets. And all I'm doing is using the cloner to clone along the spline, just like how you guys would use a line to spline. The wires are, you can do wires if you don't feel like, doing your, what you call it, the bottom piece. Just take a helix from here, switch it to the, believe, XYZ axis, scale it down. I believe it's this here. Turn the end radius down. There we go for the bias. I'll make it long. And again, this is a preset object that I'm using. If you feel like that was very confusing, you want to make wires, this is literally what I just did. Wire, sweep. I'm gonna steal this circle, but I'm gonna create a circle so you guys see. I made a circle. And now I'm going to take this one and drag and drop it there. So again, if it pops up like this and it's super duper flat, your order is wrong. It should be my circle, and then I want my circle to wrap over my helix. And now I got a wire. If you want to change the size, you just change the size of the circle, the top object. So I just made that an incredibly thin wire.
That's so sick. Alright.
Okay, so hopefully that made you guys feel less at ease. I mean, less at ease, less stressed, at least about placing your objects, because you're just placing it, and then this way you can be very interactive on how it looks. And you already got some windows and doors.
Can you make one quick thing?
Sure.
Just some stairs.
Oh, stairs. Oh, that's it.
You can use the stair cloner, the stair module to make automated stairs.
There's a
From
stair
scratch.
module.
Yeah, there's a stair module.
Where
a
was this located?
Okay, so the stair module is located under, if you go, I believe it's under capsules, and you can automate the whole process. I'm trying to go back because I was taking attendance and checking everyone in. Trying to come back over to,
But where is it at?
I'm trying to bring up back your screen. I don't know why it gives me an issue every time I try to bring that back in.
You said capsules?
Yeah, if you go under Command C or Shift C, and you type in stairs, and you can make any type of stairs you want.
What's going on with my command browser? You mean this stairs?
Yeah, the stair spline generator. And I could, post the YouTube video of it, of how to do it inside here in 20, it's under 20 seconds. It essentially creates 3D stairs with a lot of detail, a lot of, you can control the width of the step and the height of the step.
Sick.
Yeah, it's really nice. So we're using it in the advanced class.
So there you go, you got your stairs.
Nice. Do you feel like this is a valid way? Or I felt like you had a different way.
This is a valid way. My way was just I'm used to making the stuff from scratch. So um yeah, but that's a valid way of doing it. If you want, I could show you how it would go about it. It would just be so you see these cubes here? I would try to isolate it to
Right.
two cubes. So I'm gonna click here. I'm using the spline pen. And just I have the snap on. Now I'm gonna go up.
I'm also putting in the free stair module from Pixel Lab that you can create multiple railings, spiral staircases, and different landings. So yeah, automates the whole thing.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, let me just even this out really quick. I'm just straightening up my lines. So I can go about two ways. One way is the custom way. If you guys want, use the spline pen and just make your staircase. I would have put a silhouette of a staircase in here, but you know, it's stairs. But I got my staircase here, and I'm going to just drag on and extrude. And pull it.
Oh,
You
okay.
got the stairs. Yep. And the second way is if you don't want to do it like this, grab a cube. And I did this for the New York Stairs Company for one of their
Yeah, Nikko made some money doing it. Good
Yes.
job, Nikko.
yeah, and I made this like their project. They was thinking it's gonna take me 2 to 3 days. I did it in about an hour. No, I actually did it in a 2 hour time span.
Good for you,
Rendered,
Nikko.
textured, and lit.
Don't
Uh,
share it, so don't share, tell people how long it's going to take.
Mhm.
Tell them it's going to take 2 days and takes you 2 hours.
Exactly. Because you don't want them to know that if you are fast, and no one's saying for you to be fast, but if you are fast, you don't want people to know, because if they're paying you for the hour, you want to get paid for your hour, right? If you finish the job in 30 minutes, they're gonna be like, oh, why can't I just pay you those 30 minutes? Da, 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 da.
Well, yeah, you never kind of like tell them. You just say, "Oh, I'll get back to you, and I'll do it within a couple days to get back to in a
And
couple
even if
days."
it's
But
finished,
what's
sorry.
that?
Oh, no, go on, go
Even
on.
it took you 2 minutes to do. You tell them, I'm going to charge you this amount. I'll get back to you in a couple days. Does that work for you? And they say, yeah. And then you bill them. You don't charge per hour. You just charge per project.
Mhm. And also, what you call it? I had it in my head, but I think I lost it. I did lose it. Ah, it's all right.
Do you want
Uh,
to show them? Oh, yeah. I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
oh yeah, I'll show them. This is just the last one for the staircase. If he wanted to
Okay.
make
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
a spiral staircase, is this up? So say you want to make a spiral staircase, we're gonna use the same thing we did before. This is why this workflow is very effective for you guys, because you can use it in multiple instances. Going to make a cloner. I'm gonna go to objects. Probably gonna do this a little bit faster because you guys should know that I'm just gonna drag it from object into this object field. Drop, not my helix, my staircase in there. I don't know, 50 staircases. Probably shrink it down just a bit to 0.8. This 0.6 perhaps. Probably a bit more, or again, this is why this is interactive. I could just increase my space in between 4 and 4. So probably leave this at 2. Yep. So you can increase the end scale. It depends on how your thing is oriented. I'm just trying to get all the gaps to not exist without overlapping each other. There we go. Now I'm gonna scale it up. And say that this is not the right rotation that you want. You can do, whoops. You can do rotation in your transformer, which is what I believe he was going over with somebody else with. So this, I think 45, no, is that straight? No, it's not. 90 is straight turn. That's a little bit straighter. Let's see. Get that there and height. But hopefully it is making sense. It's going good that you guys can see and understand why we would do it like this. And I believe I need a bit of an offset variation. There we go. And about right there. But hopefully this is making sense for you guys, and you could do it on vertices as well. So it's on the vertices. Is this making sense?
Yeah, definitely is.
Okay. And I don't know if you want railings to match, you got your base, you just scale it. I know this part isn't oriented well. Because usually you would just make a spiral staircase and the origin point has some extra staircases going underneath the mesh. But what I'm gonna do is this right here. So I'm gonna make a quick little railing and same rules apply. I'm not gonna really scale this down. I'm just gonna make it skinny. Pop this underneath our cloner. And this is also if you guys are using double cloners to clone things or double symmetries, always make sure that it's underneath an object. Okay, so you see how it's cloning not just the cube, but the child of the cube. And the child of the cube right now is displaced because it has its own numbers. It's at 0. If I zero this out, it's on the line. And then again, I can just move the line or move this asset itself. So that is good. I think that's enough. Shows you
Yep.
guys how to make a whole bunch of assets super quickly, or at least place them using the splines.